Good morning, students. Today we are going to continue the remaining portion of Environmental Biotechnology chapter with another head, that is biosurfactant producing gem. What is gem? Gem means genetically engineered microorganisms. Means its genetic nature is modified. Its innate genetic nature is modified according to our or to satisfy our particular use. That type of microorganism, modified microorganism, that is gem. Who created such a type of gem for the first time? It was Anand Chakrabarti. And using which strain he produced a gem for the first time? Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Pseudomonas aeruginosa. Aeruginosa spelling Aeruginosa. Using that microorganism, he produced the first gem, genetically engineered microorganism. What is its peculiarity of that gem? Because it can produce a glycolipid emulsifier. It's a fat emulsifier. What is emulsifier? Emulsifier means any substance that support one liquid to stay suspend on another liquid without get mixed. That is an emulsifier. Here this is a action of an emulsifier. There is two solutions and these two solutions are not mixing together. They are staying as separate itself. As which agent, which liquid, which factor that helps to stay in that way? Those chemical additives, we can call it as emulsifier. So here this gem can produce a glycolipid emulsifier which keep the oil water surface tension in a low level and prevent the mixing of oil with water and facilitate the easy biodegradation of oil. That is the significance, that is the way of action of this gel. Okay, next we are going to genetically engineered pseudomonas for degrading vanillate and SDS. We are going to see what is vanillate and SDS and using which strain scientists create that genetically modified. It's already mentioned here. It is pseudomonas strain itself. The strain ATCC 1915 is the strain, and it can degrade vanillate and SDS. Vanillate means it is a waste product from paper industry. Then what is SDS? SDS, sodium dodecyl sulfate. What is SDS? It is a compound. It is a compound used in detergents. It's a compound used in detergent, SDS. For these two substances can be degraded using the Pseudomonas strain, genetically engineered Pseudomonas strain. Then biosafety of gem. While we are generating or producing this type of gem, we need to give concern over two main issues. Whether it will disturb the ecological balance. Ecological balance means what? Is an equilibrium between all the life forms that exist in the earth. That may include human, plants, other animals, everything. So in nature, in ecosystem or ecological system, there exists a balance. Will the advent of this gem cause any disturbance to this ecological balance? That we need to monitor. And also we need to check, is there any possibility for this gem to become virulent? Will it turn virulent? Virulent means it again, is there any chance for that modified microorganism to turn infective, that is virulent. Is there any chance for that to turn it again infective? That also we need to check. So, because of giving due importance for such issues, most of the germ-related experience functions are undertaken strictly inside laboratory. Okay. Then, eco-friendly byproducts for environmental health. For environmental health, we need to use certain eco-friendly bioproducts. Which are those bioproducts? All those things we are going to see now. Then what is environmental health? Environmental health means in the environment there exist certain factors that may affect our health. So we need to control or to regulate all the process relating with those factors. The entire that planning is environmental health. If we didn't concern about this environment health, what will result? It may deteriorate the environment quality and may affect the existence of all life forms. Example for some bioproducts. So many bioproducts are now available. Some common examples are biofuels, bioenergy, starch-based and cellulose-based ethanol, then bio-based adhesives. So many are there. These are all examples. We are going to see some of the examples one by one. First is biodegradable plastic. From the name itself, it's clearly mentioned what is it's going to explain about. Biodegradable plastic. Yeah, and our normal plastic is usually manufactured from petroleum products and is very difficult to decompose, causing a major environmental problem. So we need to step to some other source to develop this plastic. Plastic totally we can avoid. So what is the substitute for that? We can prepare bioplastic, biodegradable plastic from certain metabolites called polylactides. 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 From where we can obtain this polylactides? It is synthesized by microbes such as lactobacillus, alkaligens, and pseudomonas. So, using that metabolite, we can synthesize biodegradable plastic. Okay. Then next is biofuels. What is biofuels? It is given here. It is any fuel that is derived from biomass. Any fuel that is derived from biomass. Biomass means it include plant material, algal material or animal waste. From all these we can synthesize or manufacture biofuels. Which are different types of common biofuels? Some examples are the fuels derived from biomass conversion, means waste itself, from the solid biomass, from liquid fuels, and also various some other forms of biogases also manufacturing and available. Bioethanol. What is bioethanol? It is an alcohol made by fermentation. What is bioethanol? It is an alcohol made by fermentation. What is fermentation? Fermentation I will show you now. Fermentation is the process of converting carbohydrates to alcohol or organic acids. That is the process. And that also with the help of microorganisms. So, the conversion of carbohydrate to alcohol or organic acid using microorganisms. Microorganisms like yeast or bacteria. One more condition, and the condition should be anaerobic. Says the fermentation. So, what is bioethanol? Bioethanol means it is an alcohol formed as a result of fermentation. And which are the feedstock for ethanol production? Feedstock, which are the feedstock? They include cellulosic biomass, which is derived from non-food sources such as trees and grasses. It's a feedstock for the ethanol production. Okay, what is the application? Ethanol is pure form we can use in vehicles. If we use vehicle along with it improve the vehicle's emission, improve the quality of vehicle emission. That is the application. Then coming to biodiesel. What is biodiesel? Biodiesel is made from vegetable oils and animal fats. Where it is from where? It is producing from vegetable oils and animal fat. Biodiesel is made from vegetable oil and animal fats. And what is the significance? If it is used as an additive along with the diesel, then we can reduce the level of particulates in emissions like particulates like carbon monoxide and hydrocarbons from diesel powered vehicles. In that way, we can improve its emission quality also. Then green diesel. What is green diesel? Green diesel means it's a type of diesel produced through hydrocracking. Produced through hydrocracking. What is hydrocracking? That we are going to see. Hydrocracking means like elevated temperature and pressure we need here. At that condition, the presence of a catalyst, what we are doing? We are splitting a large molecule of fat to shorter hydrocarbon chain as a process. Important condition. Which are the important condition? Elevated temperature and pressure and the presence of a catalyst. Then bioenergy. What is bioenergy? What is bioenergy? Is a renewable energy made available from materials derived from biological sources. It's a form of renewable energy derived from whatever type of biological sources. That is bioenergy. Okay. Then what is biomass? Biomass means it is any organic material which stores sunlight in the form of chemical energy. Biomass means it is any organic material which can store sunlight in the form of chemical energy. Chemical energy. Biomass means any type of organic material which can store sunlight in the form of chemical energy. They all we can call as biomass. Then what is the advantage? Because biomass, it's using what we are generating, the bioenergy or biomass, that all things are usually byproduct and also some waste product of other process. And if you are not using it, it may stay only as a base. By using or converting it into biomass or bioenergy, we are converting waste to a useful form. That is the advantage. Then biogas. What is biogas? What is biogas? Gas itself, it is clear that it's a type of gas. And what type of gas? Biological gas. It's a gas produced by breakdown of organic matter in the absence of oxygen. It is a biogas means it is a type of gas. Gas produced by the breakdown of organic material. Organic material. Its breakdown, say, under condition of anaerobic condition. So biogas is a gas. It is produced by the breakdown of organic material in the absence of oxygen with the help of microorganisms. That is biogas. Which are the raw materials that we are using? It is we know that plant and animal material, animal fecal matter, kitchen waste, all we can use as raw material. And how it is produced? So I already explained to you. We are producing it by introducing the waste and giving an anaerobic condition. Also, some microbes are there, and you use with the help of the microbes this waste is converting to a biogas. Then we are going to see the composition of biogas. A biogas composed of which all type of gases normally. Usually main gas is methane, and then carbon dioxide also there. Small amounts of hydrogen sulfide is there, traces of hydrogen is there, moisture is there, and siloxane. Siloxane also there. Siloxane. Siloxane spelling Siloxanes. Siloxane also what component of this biogas. And what is the capability? What is the production rate? Out of 10 kg of biomass, out of 10 kg of biomass, we can produce 3 cubic meter of biogas. How much gas we can produce from 10 kg? From 10 kg of biomass, we can synthesize 3 cubic meter of biogas. And we can use it for cooking, for heating, or all such requirements we can use that. Next slide. Biopiracy. What is biopiracy? Biopiracy is pirating, stealing some biological products. Biopiracy is the illegal appropriation means against law. Is attaining something against law. It's the illegal appropriation of life, microorganisms, plants and animals. And also the traditional cultural knowledge that accompany with all these things. Because biopiracy, what all happening? Plants, stealing of plants, animals, and also some traditional knowledges also they are associated with traditional knowledge is also there associated with this. All those things are stealing. That action is called biopiracy. And all these things, these plants, animals will belong to a certain area, and without letting those area to use it, some other regions of the world is gaining or procuring those plants and animal material for their use or business, and taking patency over such things. That is biopiracy. What's the present situation? Presently, so many private companies, especially over the world, have gaining so much profit by gaining patency over this indigenous type of knowledge, and also the indigenous, so many indigenous plant varieties. It's the present situation, very risky situation. Some examples for biopiracy is very important for your exam. So many times have asked about what is biopiracy. Cite some examples. First example regarding American seed giant Monsanto. We are going to see that. They breed the traditional Indian variety of wheat, Nepal, with the some other plants. It's not specified here, and they develop Monsanto. Monsanto from using this plant a dough is preparing. Dough means a marble. That dough is ideal for making bakery products. So even if we have this plant, we can't produce or synthesize this Monsanto because it is patented by an American company. This is an example for biopiracy. Then another example for piracy is Texumadi. Texumadi means Basmati is a communal property, we know that. And they cross this Basmati with a semi-dog variety and generate Texumadi. And it's a fragrant rice with a nutty taste. So even if we have Basmati, we can't produce Texumadi. It is patented by a USA based company, Rice Tech. They only can synthesize this Texumadi and generate profit out of this. It's another example for biopiracy. Then neem. Neem is well known for its many medicinal and other uses, like it can be used as natural pesticides for some skin disorders. And but now so many foreign countries gain patency over this neem. So we can't directly produce such products by our own because they have patency. So we can't produce even if we have enough number of neem plants. That's another issue. And so many environmentalists protest to cancel the patency awarded by the US Patent and Trademark Office, but it not turned fruitful. So many environmentalists try hardly to cancel those patency gained by or awarded by this US Patent and Trademark Office, but it's not successful. But at the same time, one successful story is there regarding relating with the turmeric. Turmeric in 1995 a patency got for a center in America, but because of the intervention of CSIR, CSIR means Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, CSIR, by their intervention, their patency has cancelled. That is one successful story. Then we are going to see the potential hazards of patency. What's the harm we are facing? It's a risk we are facing because of this biopiracy. First one is the knowledge, our indigenous knowledge or our genetic resources that belongs to a community or a country is stolen by some others. Is one risk. Second one, uh, the use of our knowledge, indigenous knowledge, is prevented. We can't use that. Or the genetic resource, even if we have, we can't use them. That is another situation. And another thing, potential threat, the patent holder is taking unfair profit out of that patent product. It's another risk. Next, we are moving to biopesticides. Biopesticides means what? Biological pesticides. Here, certain living organisms or their organic products are using to control harmful pests. That bioorganisms that we are using for controlling the pests are called biopesticides. Example is Bacillus thuringiensis and its toxin is Bt toxin. That is example. Bacillus thuringiensis. Well, Bacillus thuringiensis. Bacillus thuringiensis. And its a toxin. Its toxin is Bt toxin. Bt toxin. As example, how we are applying this one? We are just applying the spores of this bacteria over the plants. and this bacteria grow well on these plants, and whenever it is sprayed on some plants, and whenever yeah, and a what a pest or insect, its larva happen to ingest this bacteria, then this bacteria will grow in its intestine and damage its intestine lining and kill it. In that way we can control the pest. I think it's very clear. And there's some other applications also. Application means advance are there, means improvement. Certain genes are there. Genes means cry genes. Cry genes. These genes are actually responsible for producing Bt toxin. So these genes are cloning. Cloning means its multiple copies are producing, and this cloned genes are introduced in the body of Pseudomonas species, Pseudomonas fluorescens, Pseudomonas fluorescens bacteria, and that generated bacteria is more capable than this bacterial thuringians in controlling the pest, because it have more Bt toxin producing gene in its body. There's a improvement in that in the generation of biopesticides. Then baculovirus means baculoviruses are actually viruses that can kill different invertebrate organisms including insects. They are called baculovirus. Then we are moving to biofertilizers, means microorganism we are using as fertilizers. How we are selecting a microorganism? That is depending upon the physiology and also the need, which nutrient a plant requires, need of the plant and the soil condition. Three parameters: physiology of that plant, need of the plant, and the soil condition. Based on that we are selecting a biofertilizer. Okay, and also that microorganism is a free living type. What practice we are doing? We are inoculating. Inoculation means we are injecting a solution that is rich with certain bacterial forms, that may include rhizobium, acetobacter, azospirillum, cyanobacteria, etc. After injecting that, the plant become capable to get more nutrients. Okay, then phosphate fertilizer. Phosphate fertilizer means what? Phosphate fertilizer means this type of bacteria, they can solubilize phosphate. Which bacteria can solubilize phosphate and make available to plants? They are Bacillus megatherium, Bacillus polymyxa, then Pseudomonas striata. All these are the bacteria capable to solubilize what? Phosphorus solubilize and make available to the plant. Then rhizosphere biofertilizer. Rhizosphere biofertilizer means another type of microorganism. They can also we are using as biofertilizers, and how they act as biofertilizers? By making symbiotic association. Symbiotic means both the partners are benefited. Symbiotic association with their rhizosphere of the plant. Then what is rhizosphere? Rhizosphere means is the narrow region of the soil or the substrate. This directly influenced by root secretions, also soil microorganisms. That part in the picture we can see that region, that is in close contact with the root secretion, soil microorganisms. That part of that soil seen close to the plant part, that region is called a rhizosphere. Then, which are the examples for the microbes that that are using as rhizosphere biofertilizer? They are Arthrobacter, Pseudomonas, and Agrobacterium. And we are moving to green chemistry. Green chemistry. What is green chemistry? Green chemistry means we are encouraging certain products or processes that reduce or eliminate negative environmental impacts. Whatever things that is harming the environment, those factors are reducing or eliminating. Such type of products and process are encouraging in green chemistry. In green chemistry, we are what we are doing, we are encouraging certain products or certain processes that will reduce or totally eliminating has environmental hazardous products or hazardous impacts. So that things are greatly supporting that process and the products. That type of chemistry is green chemistry. Green chemistry is encourage the design of products as well as processes that reduce or eliminate hazardous impact to the environment. And it is also known as sustainable chemistry. Green chemistry is also known as sustainable chemistry. Then next, what is the importance? The green chemistry will minimize the damage that is caused to the environment because of the development, in terms of development. And also, what is the aim of green chemistry? It aims at maintaining and improving the life standards through sustainable development. So, what is it doing? It maintain and improve life standards through sustainable development that will safeguard or protect the air for the coming future generations. So, we are protecting the earth. The green chemistry protecting the earth as well as it is supporting sustainable development. Basic principle in green chemistry. Prevention of waste. In that point itself is clear that we need to try our maximum to avoid the creation of waste as a result of any type of chemical reactions. So, and also whatever products that left at the end of any chemical reaction should be harmless. A new biodegradable plastic products is an example for such type of advancement in chemistry. Then next is improve the atom economy. Atom economy, what is atom economy? Atom economy means at the end of any reaction, there will be some products. And that products all should be such a type. Means we can make it as useful products. No waste is there. If we are doing a reaction and the end of that reaction, three products are forming. That means three group of atoms are forming at the end of that reaction, and all the three can be used as useful products. Then we can tell that that is a economical. Then we can call that reaction is atom economical because there is no waste. All the end products can be used as useful products. That is atom economy. For example, in older days, the drug ibuprofen, ibuprofen, it's a drug. In 1980s, this drug is synthesized in a 6-step chemical process. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, 6-step process. And as the number of steps is more, they stands for many waste. Um, sorry, yeah, this stands for having so many unwanted uh, byproducts along with all these steps. But by 1990, they developed another chemical process that can synthesize this ibuprofen in 3 steps. So we can call this process as atom economy method. Clear? So the chemical process should improve the atom economy without creating, instead of creating so many unwanted end products, it should reduce the number of, or eliminate the number of unwanted end products. At the same time, the all the end products, if it can be used as useful products, then we can call it as an atom economy. It's an improvement in atom economy. Then less hazardous chemical synthesis, that means any substances, whatever synthetic methods we are adopting, the substance generated should not be toxic to the human or any other living environment. Yes, sir. Telling about that point. Then designing safer chemicals. Safer chemical means that this chemical products should be designed to effect all the desired function. For what function we design that chemical, it should satisfy that function, but with very minimum toxicity. That is the design safer chemicals. Should cater its function, at the same time should cause only very less toxicity. Use of environment friendly solvents or null solvents, because for most of the reaction we need the help of solvents. If we are using any type of solvents, it should be environment friendly, otherwise should not use any type of solvents. Then design of energy efficient processes. Energy efficient process means the energy requirement for chemical reaction should be minimized. Energy requirement should be minimized to reduce their impact on the environment. Because if a reaction, it requires so much energy requirement, we need to avoid that, and we need to adopt a step. We need to divert to some other reaction that require only very less energy. Example is the use of or adopting enzyme catalyst reaction in biotechnology industry. Next, use of renewable raw materials. Instead of using finite, means non-renewable resources, it's better to stick to renewable raw materials for biological synthetic process. Then reduce chemical derivatives. We should try our maximum to avoid all unnecessary derivatives. The development or the synthesis of unnecessary derivatives during any reaction, that we need to control, we need to stop or eliminate. There's another method, the use of catalysts. And in most of the reaction, we should adopt or we should stick to catalytic reagents instead of stoichiometric reagent. What is stoichiometric reagent? Stoichiometric reagents means that reagent will be used up in the reaction. But catalytic reaction means what? For first reaction it is used up, but in the next reaction it is again regenerated. So that is the difference between stoichiometric and catalytic reaction. So we need to stick to more use reactions that is using catalyst. Then you design for degradation, means chemical products, if after a chemical reaction, some end products will form, and that end product should be such a type it is possible to break down to environmentally unhazardous substance. That type of reaction only we need to support. Then real time analysis for pollution. So if we are executing any chemical process, it is not good to assess its harmful effects after the completion of the process. Instead, we need to assess the harmful effects of that chemical reaction along the through the reaction itself, and that the on time of the that happening of that reaction itself, we need to assess its harmful effects in the environment. If it is it causing any type of harm to the environment. Minimize potential for accidents. That is, if we are selecting any substance, we need to consider its effect. What is the harmful effect it is causing to environment? If it is causing serious harmful effects to the environment, we need to avoid use of that particular substance. For example, um, instead of the halogenated hydrocarbons that are formerly used for firefighting compounds, now we are using aerosol, because aerosol is far more better than this halogenated compound with regard to the environmental health, because these halogenated hydrocarbons are their capability to deplete the ozone layer. It's very dangerous. It's very harmful to the whole life in the earth. So, like that way, we need to step to those reactions or substance that is causing only very less harm to the biosphere. Okay, with this we finish this chapter and today's section. Thank you.